Good morning, children. It's lockdown again, but we can still meet online for Sunday school. So I hope you enjoy today's story, which we're going to hear, which is taken from the Bible. And Rupert wants to say hello to you too. Would you like to say hello to Rupert? You've met Rupert many times before, I think, haven't you? Well, Rupert's been having an exciting time, haven't you, Rupert? Would you like to tell the girls and boys what you've been doing? He wants me to tell you, Rupert has been to Brisbane. In fact, he has left Sydney with his family and he's gone all the way to Brisbane. It's a long, long way, isn't it, Rupert? And what did you have to do before you left? He had to pack up some of his things. And what was the thing that you packed up most of all, Rupert? It was this, wasn't it? Your ball. That is what Rupert packed up. He wanted to make sure that he took his favourite ball all the way from Sydney to Brisbane. But before he left Sydney to go to Brisbane, he wanted to say goodbye to his friends. His friend Blackie. Remember Blackie is the little dog who helps a blind person walk around the suburbs? And his friend Patch. And so he came and they had a good time woofing together and saying goodbye. And because they were such good friends of his, Rupert did something special. He gave Blackie one of his favourite bones and he gave Patch one of his favourite bones. And he then said goodbye. And Patch and Blackie said thank you to Rupert for being such a good friend, such fun to play with, and thank you for the bones. And so Rupert then went on his way with his family and he went all the way from Sydney to Brisbane. So Rupert had to get used to being in Brisbane, which was a new place. But there was something particularly good about this new place, wasn't there, Rupert? Do you know what that was, girls and boys? Well, I'll show you. Rupert has made a new friend. So what do you think of his new friend? Do you think that's good? Rupert does. Rupert's now going to say goodbye. You can say goodbye to Rupert because Rupert is now going to play with his new friend. So goodbye, girls and boys, from Rupert, and we are now going to hear our story from the Bible. And it's about a man called Abraham who went on a long, long trip, a bit like Rupert went on a long, long trip from Sydney to Brisbane, except it wasn't from Sydney to Brisbane. Abraham lived a long time ago, and he knew that there was one true God who had made the world and everything in it, and who was good and kind. And one day, God said to Abraham, Abraham, I want you to leave the country you live in. I want you to leave your family, and I want you to leave your people. And I want you to go to a land that I will show you. And God said, and I'm promising you something, Abraham. I'm going to be with you when you go to this new land. And I'm going to give you the land, and I'm going to let you also have lots of children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Well, Abraham knew that God was good. And so Abraham trusted God. And Abraham decided to do what God had asked him to. So one day it came ready to pack up. Abraham was now going to have to live in tents as he moved from his own land to the new land. So Abraham had to fold up the tent, roll it up, and put it on a donkey or a camel. His wife Sarah had to fold up and roll up all their clothes and pack them up, and again put them on a donkey or a camel. And she probably also had to do the same to pots and pans and some of the other things that she had in her house. Someone else who was going to go with them was Lot. Lot was a nephew of Abraham, and he had to wrap and fold his clothes, roll them up and put them on a donkey or a camel as well. Well, finally everything was all packed up. And off they set. They didn't know where they were going. But here's Abraham and Lot, and here's some of their animals. They had lots of animals. And here's Sarah setting off to travel to this new land that God was going to show them. Well, they walked and walked. It took a long time, and they walked and walked a lot more. And finally, they arrived at the land that God had said he would give them. And God appeared to Abraham again. And God said to Abraham, "This is the land that I am going to give you and your children and your children's children." And God said to Abraham, "And I am going to be with you." So Abraham was very thankful to God that God had looked after him. And so Abraham built an altar. Now this is a picture of an altar. It's made out of a whole lot of rough stones, and they light a fire on top of the altar. And so Abraham and Sarah and Lot and all their many helpers gathered around, and they said thank you to God for being with them and looking after them on their long, long journey. And they also thanked God for being so good and so kind. And do you know what, boys and girls? Just like God looked after Abraham and Lot and Sarah, God also looks after us. It doesn't matter whether it's good times or bad times, whether we're at home or away from home, in a lockdown or out of a lockdown. God looks after us and cares for us because he is a good God, and we can thank him for that. I'm so glad you joined me today. Thank you for listening so well. And until next time, I'll say goodbye. Bye.